So Sajid, go ahead. We are going to chant a few verses. So from verse number 11. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Ashocyanan Vashocastvam
Ashocyanan Vashocastvam
Prajnavadamscha Bhashase
Prajnavadamscha Bhashase
Gatasu Nagatasuscha
Gadasu Nagadasuscha
Nanushocanti Panditaha
Nanushocanti Panditaha
Natve Vaham Jatu Nasam
Natve Vaham Jatu Nasam
Natvam Neme Janadhipaha
Natvam Neme Janatipaha
Nachaiva na bhavishyamaha
Nachaiva na bhavishyamaha
Sarve vayamatah param
Sarve vayamadah param
Dehinosmin yatha dehe
Dehinosmin yatha dehe
Kaumaram yauvanam jara
Kaumaram yauvanam jara
Tatha dehantara praptihi
Tatha dehandara praptihi
Dhirastatra na muhyati
Dhirastatra na muhyati
Matra sparshastu kaunteya
Matra sparshastu kaunteya
So we're not able to hear Sajeev. Sajeev is, I think
I can.
Shitoshna sukha dukkadaha
Shitoshna sukha dukkadaha
Agama payino nityaha
Agamapayino nityaha
Tam stitikshasva bharata
Tam stitikshasva bharata
Yam hina vyathayantyete
Yam hina vyadhayante te
Purusham purusharshabha
Purusham purusharshabha
Sama dukkha sukham dhiram
Sama dukkha sukham dhiram
Somrutatvaya kalpate
Somrtatvaya kalpate
Nasato vidyate bhavaha
Nasato vidyade bhavaha
Na bhavo vidyate sataha
Na bhavo vidyate sataha
Ubhayorapi drishtontaha
Ubhayorapi drishtontaha
Tvanayostattvadarshibhihi
Tvanayostattvadarshibhihi.
Yeah. So we have been talking about Sat and Asat. And we saw that we have Tucham in one extreme. Tucham means like the rabbit's horns. Shasha Vishanaha. It is non-existent. At best, it can exist in your mind, but really there is no such thing called rabbit's horns. That is called Tucham. Other extreme, you have Sat. Sat means that which is independently existing, that which is self-existent, and therefore it always exists, and it is what sustains everything else. It is the only thing that exists, and it is Nityam, always exists. And in between, you have what is called asat. So asat does not mean tucham. Tucham is also asat, but there is asat, which is mithya. We now know very clearly what mithya is. And pot is mithya, pen is mithya. Pot depends on clay for its existence. And so pot has to be mithya. When clay takes away its what belongs to it, what belongs to clay, then what is left for pot is very little. Very little. We say what remains for the pot is nama rupa, name and form. Remember that, nama rupa, name and form. And then we saw the example of the pen, and we said that pen, we are still not sure. Is it one object? Is it two objects? Is it five objects? Is it six objects? We don't know. We can't even make up our mind on how many objects are there in our hand. And what to talk, every object in this world is like that. Every object in the world is like that. We have an arbitrary understanding. We have an understanding of a pen, and we say it must be like this. It must be able to be held in the hand, and it must write something. If whatever is there in my mind, I use my hand, it writes, then I will call it a pen. It can be blue in color, red in color, and that is a pen. But don't ask me anything more about that. That is a pen. That's all. That is the common understanding we have. But that pen itself depends on so many things. And so we say pen is mithya. So the question is, can you define Satya? Or can you define Mithya? Mithya is that which depends on something else. What about Satyam? Satyam is that which always exists. Abaditam Satyam means that which cannot be negated is Satyam. That which always is Satyam. In fact, you cannot define Mithya properly. Means you cannot define any object properly. You just cannot define. Categorically, you try to define anything. It will be pick up all the definitions you have studied so far in your life. Definition of a fruit, definition of a human body, definition of physics, definition of an atom. You keep on, you make a list of all these things. You will have that if you carefully look at the definition, you will find that the definition is not complete. If questions are asked about the definition, certain things you can't answer. Define a flower, if you say. How will you define a flower? A flower is that which grows on a plant or a tree, and it is not a leaf, because leaf also grows on a tree, and it is not a branch, it is not the stem. It is something that seems to grow at the end of every branch, and sometimes in the middle of the branch also. And then it has some color to it. How will you define a flower? You tell me. I'm trying hard to define a flower now. And then it has some petals in it. It has some petals in it. And then there might be in the center of the flower, there are some words I forgot, all these things I studied in school, stamens and pistil and all they talk about. And it has pollen and so on and so forth. That is called a flower. Now look, in defining flower, how many non-flower words are used? Can you see that? I used petal, I used a stem, I used pollen, I used pistil, I used stamen. I used so many words which are not flowers. So the definition of flower depends on the definition of so many other things. Because somebody will ask, tell me what is stamen? What do you mean by petal? What is a petal? Then you have to define petal. Mithya definition is never complete because it's on shaky ground. You just put a full stop somewhere and say, enough, this is enough. I understood what flower is. Don't ask me anymore. You agree? Is this a flower or not? Yes, it's a flower. Yes, it's a flower. What kind of flower it is? It's sunflower. Ah, yes, it is sunflower. Okay, enough. Let's not talk anymore. So, therefore, we say mithya is inexplicable. Inexplicable means what? It cannot be categorically defined. You cannot say this is flower. You cannot say it. And no more, no less. You can't say that. So the only thing that can be really defined is Satya. That which cannot be negated. That which always exists. That is Satya. So we will see more about that. And so we saw the example. We saw that my confusion, the confusion I have in my mind, which makes me take Mithyam as Satya or Satyam and makes me not recognize Satyam, is what is the cause for samsara. That is what Vedanta says. Vedanta Shastram says that mistake which is made due to ignorance is the cause of samsara. So let's go back to the shloka. We have completed at least whatever I had intended to talk about for the shloka. I've completed. So let's go back to the shloka and translate it. Nasato vidyate bhavaha, na bhavo vidyate sata. So as I said earlier, sataha or asataha bhavaha na vidyate. That is one sentence. For the asat, means for the mithya, I don't want to use unreal, etc. Those words I'm not going to use. For mithya, there cannot be any existence. Bhavaha na vidyate. Full stop. Nabhavo vidyate sataha. Sataha abhavaha na vidyate. For the sat, I can say real for the sat, but the word real is inadequate because the word mithya is absent. There's no translation for the word mithya in English. So for sat, there is no non-existence. Ubhayorapi drishtontaha tu anayoho tattvadarshibhihi. Antaha drishtaha. Antaha means truth. Drishtaha is seen. The truth is seen. And the truth of what is seen? Anayoho ubhayoho api. Anayoho means etayoho. These two. Of these two. Anayoho ubhayoho. Of these two. The truth of these two, however, of these two also, api is also there, is seen by tattvadarshis. Tattvadarshibhihi. And we saw tattvadarshi means what? Is seen by the knowers of truth. Tattvadarshi means knower of truth. So we have discussed all of this in detail. So that would be the translation of this shloka. For the mithya, there is never any being or existence. For sat, there is never any non-being or non-existence. Ultimate truth of both, those both, namely the sat and asat, is seen by the knowers of truth. That is the translation. Okay. So now let's verse 17. So somebody who is Ajay, I have unmuted you. Avinashitu tadvidhi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasham. Somehow your voice is not coming out. Only the last word is coming. Can you be closer to the mouth? I mean to the mic. Vinasham. Yeah. Avyayasyasya. Nakaschit. Kartumarhati. Avinashitu tadvidhi.
अविनाशितु तत्विद्धि
येन सर्वमिदं ततं
येन सर्वमिदं ततं
विनाशमव्ययस्यास्य
विनाशमव्ययस्यास्य
न कश्चित् कर्तुमर्हति.
न कश्चित् कर्तुमर्हति.
Yeah. So here, Avinashi, the word Avinash is being used. So Krishna is making a statement that this Sat, this non-dual Sat, is Avinashi, means is not destructible. So that idea is being given. Previously we saw Sat always exists. And always exists means what? Maybe sometime later, after a long time, it just evaporates and then it disappears. Like the sun is shining, it's burning, and nobody says, how long will sun will last. Like that, nobody seems to make a statement. But we hear that, this helium, hydrogen, some reactions are going on, and this fusion and fission, all these things are going on, and it is a matter of time before all अंदर जो माल है वो सब खत्म हो जाएगा. Sometime it has to happen. It's all not magic. Everything is happening. It appears like magic. So maybe all these things, something may happen to Sat sometime later. So he says Sat cannot be affected by anything. Sat is Avinashi. That statement he is going to make here. So, that what is Avinashi here? Avinashi to Tat. Tat Vidhi. Tat means that. Pronoun that. So, Tat Avinashi iti Vidhi. Vidhi means may you know. May you know. May you know that. That means that which we talked about in the previous shloka. That Sat, specifically Sat, not Asat. Sat is Avinashi. That is what he's saying. And then he's introducing the word tatam. Yena sarvam idam tatam. Yena sarvam idam. What is it that is indestructible? Yena, by which sarvam idam tatam. Everything here is tatam means vyaptam. That which is pervaded. Everything is pervaded. That by which everything is pervaded is Avinashi. Is not destroyed, not able to be destroyed. It is indestructible. So quietly Krishna introduces the word tatam, vyaptam, all pervasive. So how do you get to this Sat? There is so much Asat. Everything I see, you have told it is Asat. And so now how do I see Asat? I mean Sat. So we saw this this pot and clay. Pot is Asat. Now, in order to see Sat, that is clay, in this example, what do you have to do? What do you have to do to Asat? Do you have to tell pot, hey, wait, I'm going to concentrate on clay. Please move. Please move. Move away from there. Let me see clay. Let me have the joy of seeing clay. The one whom you worship, that clay I want to see. So you move, you tell the pot to move or what? Or do you have to destroy the pot? Do you have to break the pot into pieces in order to see the clay? What do you have to do to Asat in order to see the clay? You don't have to do anything. Do you know why you don't have to do anything? Because there is no pot. Because there is no pot. Everything is clay. Everything is clay. And so there is no need to, there is no dialogue with pot here. Clay is staring at me. Every part of this pot is clay. And so pot, it is not sitting on the clay. It is not blocking the clay. It is not pushing the clay. It is not doing anything to the clay. Pot cannot do anything to clay. Pot cannot do anything. Okay. This is the property of Mithya. Pot cannot do anything. So in order for me to appreciate Sat, nothing needs to change. You don't have to sit under a tree. You can sit on your chair. Wherever you're sitting, you can be seated. And you can appreciate Satya. You can appreciate the clay in the pot. So this point we have to appreciate here. And of course, the Purva Pakshi always comes. And he says, wait a minute, the world is also going to get destroyed. Pot, you're saying pot destroyed, everything gets destroyed. But someday there will be pralaya and the world will get destroyed. And all these objects get destroyed. Your Sat will get destroyed, my dear. How can you simply keep Sat aside and then protect the Sat? No. You don't have to protect Sat at all. It doesn't need any security. It doesn't need any life insurance. Nothing. Sat doesn't need all of this. Only we all need life insurance. Sat doesn't need it. And why? Because every object is pervaded by this Sat. Every object being Asat, it is sustained by Sat. And so wherever you see, it is all Sat only. That is the Adhishtana. That is the basis of whatever you see. And Adhishtana, basis means don't think you have to look underneath the pot in order to locate the clay. I'm going to go deep inside the pot. I'm going to close my eyes. And I'm going to dive deep within. And when I dive deep within, I can see the clay. No, you don't have to dive deep within. There is only clay. Therefore, clay only is there. And you can give a name pot. For a particular function, you are welcome to do that. And that, if that works for you, that is well and good. But clay is all there is. Therefore, that particular Sat Vastu is always there. And when the Asat is destroyed, when the pot is destroyed, the clay doesn't get destroyed. The Sat continues to remain. Sat is Avinashi. And why is that? That is because of this great property between pot and clay. Pot and clay. Two objects can affect each other. There is a stone and there is a pot. Or there is an egg and a pot. Something brittle, some glass. There is a glass bulb and a pot. They are two separate objects of the same order of reality, and each can affect each other. The pot can damage the bulb can damage the pot. These things can happen. That is because they are of the same order of reality. But then, can Asat destroy Sat? What is the order of reality of these two? Even the pot cannot destroy clay. Because pot, the relationship between pot and clay is what? We saw this before. Pot is clay, but clay is not pot. Correct? This much we are clear by now. Yep. B is A, but A is not B. Pot is clay, but clay is not pot. Because clay is not pot, clay can be anywhere, everywhere, and it can be all pervasive. And at the same time, clay can give existence to any number of pots. And clay is happy being itself, unaffected by whether it is a small pot or a big pot or a broken pot or a pot without a lid. It doesn't matter. Clay isn't worried about it. So therefore, because of this property that B is A, but A is not B, Asat is Sat, but Sat is not Asat. Asat is Sat. Asat is Sat. Why Asat is Sat? Because Asat cannot exist without Sat. Every part of Asat is Sat. Therefore, Asat is Sat, but Sat is not Asat. Sat cannot be Asat. Sat is. Now, so that I was talking about this bulb and pot. So can some other object destroy Sat? So we saw two objects can affect each other, can hurt each other, can change each other, can react with each other. Anything is possible. All chemical reactions involve two things coming together. Two compounds coming together. And we are supposed to mix an acid and a base, and then it is supposed to become some salt and water. This is what we learned in school. And like that, two things can affect each other. Now, what about Sat? Can something come and affect Sat? Then we say, of course, we just said, whatever thing comes, it is going to be Asat. And Asat is also sustained by Sat. And therefore, just like the pot cannot touch clay, the pot, however big it is, it cannot touch clay. Like that, nothing can touch Asat, nothing can affect Asat. Therefore, nothing can affect Sat. And so, Sat is not destructible. And Shankara here uses the word Ekam Advitiyam. Why he says Ekam Advitiyam? Ekam. Sat has to be only one. There can't be two separate Sats. If you say there are two Atmas, then you have to define what is it that distinguishes that Atma with this Atma. You must say something. Some quality, you have to say that is big, this is small. You have to say that. Hey, the minute you say that is big, that means it is within space and you have not analyzed it further. You are looking at something else and calling Sat, and you are looking at something else here and calling it Sat number 2, and it can't be the case. So therefore, there is nothing that can affect the Sat. Now, one more question can be there. Maybe Sat can hurt itself, like I can be cutting, vegetables, tomato and all these things I'm cutting. And so once this happened, and beetroot, I was making this beetroot sabji, and beetroot is a bit tricky, and you have to, remove the skin and all that. And sometimes it can be pretty hard. And so I was trying to cut it. And what happened next minute, I nicely cut my finger, left hand finger was cut. And you don't know properly, because outside the cutting board also is red because of beetroot, and blood also is red. So you have to check carefully, is this beetroot or is it blood? It happened to me. I remember it because next day I was flying out of the country. And then you got to carry all this luggage and all that, and it becomes a problem. So like this, Atma, Sat is there. One part of the Sat just chopped off the other part of Sat. That also is possible. Why? Why is not possible? So that is not possible, because for that to be possible, there must be parts. Whatever object you are talking about must have parts. So you can say part A is impacting part B. There is no parts. How can there be parts in Sat? If you say there are parts, then what is it that distinguishes that part with this part? Something has to be distinguishing. No parts. He uses the word here. What is it? Avyayasyasya. Vinasham avyayasyasya. Avyaya. That word avyaya is used. Avyaya means it doesn't decline, doesn't change, And avayava, very closely related to something called avayava. Avayava means part. So they say Atma is niravayavaha. Niravayavaha means it's partless. So that which is tatam in the first line, last word tatam, vyaptam, that which is tatam has to be niravayavaha. So no part, there is no question of a part of sat hurting another part of sat. So no question of sat committing suicide. All these things is not possible. And so therefore there is no sambandha, there is no connection. This sat has no connection with anything else. It seems to sustain the entire world, but it is not connected with the world. You know, yesterday there was a question about detachment, attachment, detachment. When there are two things, separate things, then you can have attachment, you can have detachment, and all these things possible. But here, what is the connection between pot and clay? What binds the pot with clay? Is there some glue that is binding the pot to the clay? No, nothing binds the pot to the clay. It is cognitive. I appreciate clay. I do recognize pot, but I see very clearly that the pot is mithya and its existence, its entire content is clay. And so that pot cannot affect this clay. Two orders of reality. And here, after talking about this possibility of destruction of Sat, Shankara says, Atma is Avinashi, the Sat is Avinashi, even Ishvara cannot destroy the Atma. Even Ishvara. He quietly brings Ishvara. Because our idea is there, we have an idea. Hey Bhagavan, you are the one who created the world. You are the one who's protecting this world. And you are the one who's going to destroy this world also, I've heard. And so, Sat also finally has to do namaskar to Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, everybody. First thank Brahma, then keep on thanking Vishnu. Then when the time nears, then you turn your head towards Shiva. And then say, hey Shiva, I will chant whatever stotram you want. You please stay away from me. Shankara says, no, not possible. Even Ishvara cannot destroy the Sat. Do you know why? Reason for that is, the Jiva is Sat, the Jiva is Mithya, and the Mithya is finally Sat. The pot is Mithya, and the content of the pot is Sat. Ishvara is also Sat. And we just said a bit earlier, Sat, no part of Sat can cut or damage the other part of Sat because there are no parts and Ishvara is there. And Ishvara is all pervasive. That also we have heard. Thankfully, in our culture, Ishvara is all pervasive. Now you can understand this idea of a particular heaven and God sitting in heaven. It is okay to start with. But slowly that idea goes away. And thankfully we have Vishnu who is all pervasive. Thunalim Mirpan, Turumalim Mirpan. He is there in this pillar also. He is there in the small blade of grass also. And so he is there everywhere. So he is there everywhere means that fellow is Sat. And therefore Ishvara api Atmanam na badhate. Ishvara also cannot do anything to Sat. Therefore, even I can, when Ishvara comes to me and says, hey, you're done. You've done enough damage. I'm going to take you. He said, who is going to take whom? You're also Atma. I am also Atma. You just have this dialogue with Ishvara. You have to imagine this dialogue. Yeah, we need to practice all this. Because we watched enough Star Wars and all this Seinfeld and all these shows. And it's time to change the show completely. You create your own show. Be creative now. You've got all the Shakti. There is some smell here. 1 minute. Yeah. Like smoke I'm smelling. Yes, if you can pause the record.
Yeah.
So, Ishvara also cannot hurt. Sat. So, there cannot be an agent-object relationship between Ishvara and Sat. Agent means the destroyer. And the object. Sat is the object. Ishvara cannot destroy the object. This agent and object kartru karma sambandha nasti. Not that. Then what about the other relationship? I am the devotee of Ishvara. I am a bhakta. Bhakta and Bhagavan is there. That relationship is there. So now Ishvara can do anything to me because I am at his mercy. And I have surrendered to him. He can do anything. And there also he brings, Shankara says, and yeah, anything can happen to the body. We've already seen that before. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yavunam jara tatha dehantara prab. So deha can change. Deha can be affected. If Ishvara is somebody who can do things, yeah, let him do stuff. The body can change, whatever. Body can be embellished. So he's a bhakta, Hiranyakashipu, big bhakta. And then finally that same Vishnu, another Vishnu came and then finished off Hiranyakashipu. All these things are possible, but that Ishvara cannot affect Sat. Sat is Avinashi. Okay. So now let's look at the shloka. Avinashi tu tad vidhi. So understand that to be indestructible. What is that? Yena sarvam idam tatam. That by which everything here, sarvam idam, everything here, idam means what? That which I confront. I am confronting a whole wide world here. Some small part of which I seem to know, but the majority of it is just there. So sarvam idam tatam, vyaptam, pervaded. So that by which everything is pervaded, and know that to be avinashi, non-indestructible. Then asya avyayasya vinasham. Asya yasya avyayasya. Avyayasya means what? That which doesn't change. Vinasham, destruction of this changeless Sat, na kaschit kartum arhasi. Nobody can, it is not possible to destroy whatsoever this Sat. No one can bring about the destruction of that which does not change. Avyayam. So avyayam is a word that all Sanskrit students know very well. Avyayam, avyayam. So in Sanskrit there are, words like a noun, we say namapadam or we use some words for it. And then verb is called kriyapadam and adjective is called visheshanam, etc. We have these words like in English. And then there is one peculiar word. It's called avyayam. Now these words, nouns, etc. The noun as an example, if you say shishya, is a noun, correct? Student is a noun. And this shishya, as I've said before, the word changes form based on whether the shishya is a subject of the sentence, whether shishya is an object of the sentence. Subject means shishya, object means shishyam. And then if the shishya is something, I'm giving something to a shishya, means shishyaya. Correct? Shishyaya adhyapakaha upadesham dadati. The teacher gives the teaching to the student. So shishyaya, you don't see the word shishyaha there, right? Shishyaha is not there, only shishyaya is there. So the word keeps all changing. Shishya, Shishyam, Shishyena, Shishyaya. Like that it keeps changing. There are 21 forms. And in English they call it declension. Declension. I think it's a noun form of the process of declining. That is how I have it in my mind. Declension. Declining. So the word is constantly changing. And depending on how you want to use it, it changes. Therefore, declining. But then there are these other words like and. Cha in Sanskrit, cha. Cha is and. Or there, tatra. Tatra balakaha upavishati. The boy is sitting there. There. Tatra does not decline. It doesn't have the 21 forms. It has just one form. Cha has only one form. Like this, numerous words are there, which are all called avyaya in Sanskrit. Avyayam, we call it. Because it doesn't change, doesn't decline, doesn't change. So, same meaning we have to retain. Avyayasya, that sat which doesn't change. Nobody can bring about a destruction of that sat. Asya avyayasya vinasham na kaschit kartum arhati. Arhati means fit. Nobody is capable of. Na kaschit. Not at all. Never. That is the meaning of this. No one can bring about the destruction of that which does not change. Okay. So that the idea of indestructibility is brought about in this shloka. Shloka number 17. Okay, so we have a few more minutes. Let's chant the 18th shloka. So Ramesh, I'm unmuting yourself. Antavanta. Okay, did I unmute you? Not yet.
Okay, now.
Yeah. Antavantaha.
Antavantaha.
Ime dehaha.
Ime dehaha.
Nityasyoktah.
Nityasoktaha.
Sharirinaha.
Sharirinaha.
Anashinaha.
Anashinaha.
Aprameyasya.
Aprameyasya.
Tasmat.
Tasmat.
Yudhyasva Bharata.
Yudhyasva Bharata.
Antavanta ime dehaha.
Antavanta ime dehaha.
Nityasyokta sharirinaha.
Nityasokta sharirinaha.
Anashino prameyasya.
Anashino aprameyasya.
Tasmadyudyasva Bharata.
Tasmadyudyasva Bharata.
You can remain unmuted. Okay. So this Sat is Avinashi, according to the previous shloka, 17th. Avinashi tu tadvidya. Sat is Avinashi, not destructible, and the entire world is pervaded by Sat. Okay, Asat depends on Sat. That also you've said. That I can understand. Pot depends on clay. And Sat is Avinashi, and shouldn't Asat also be Avinashi? Don't they say you are as good as the company you keep? Means as good as the company. If Asat's company is Sat, then Asat must be in good company. I am in good company. I should say that, right? And so I must also be indestructible. Because my company is Sat. Sat is always giving me company. and you make a mala out of rose, and then after doing the puja, you somehow the mala, the flowers are removed, and what happens to the string? The string now has the odor, has the smell, beautiful smell of the rose, and the smell of the rose has stuck to the string. So shouldn't the string also be like rose, like that example? Shouldn't asat also be avinashi? This is the question. This is the question being asked. Asat also be avinashi. Again, same thing, same reasoning. The reason we are posing questions, different types of questions, is to make our understanding clear. The rose and the thread are two different objects, and therefore the properties of the rose can stick to the rope or to the thread, and it can therefore transmit some properties. And of course, I am influenced by my friends, and they are influenced by me, and so we influence each other. We grow. Friends are great because we relax in the presence of the friends, and relaxation brings growth. So all this works. But then this pot and clay, they are not like the thread and the rose, to rub against each other. It's not like that. It's not like me and my friend, sitting and having coffee or tea. It's not like that. Going to the same places all the time. Not like that. Very different. So bring back pot and clay. There is really no association between pot and clay. Because we seem to see a pot, we are saying, okay, pot exists as though. We don't deny pot exists. We don't say pot does not exist. But we give it the status of mithya. Mithya. Because the entire existence is taken away by clay. And so pot ka existence is very questionable. And that questionable existence is mithya. So this is what we want to say here. And so here also he says in this shloka, look at that. Antavanta ime deha. So Sat is Avinashi. You can't say Asat also should be Avinashi. You can't say. By giving these examples, you can't say. Like the flower thread example, you can't use that here. And here he's saying, Ime deha. These bodies, now Krishna is coming back, invoking these bodies. Because Arjuna is talking about life and death here. He's thinking. Ime deha, these bodies. So the word there, if you look at Devanagari, it says deha. Right? It says deha. It doesn't say deha. But again, visarga. This visarga lopa happens here. Just 2 days ago, we did visarga sandhi in the class. So here is an example of visarga sandhi. And many more visarga sandhis are there. Antavanta ime, they are also visarga sandhi. Anashinaha aprameyasya visarga sandhi. Look at that. We got a great example for visarga sandhi. Anyway, the dehaha, visarga drops. And likewise, antavanta, it says in your book. That is because it is originally antavantaha, and then the visarga drops. Okay. So, ime dehaha antavanta. Let me explain this antavanta. How to understand this? One who has strength is called balavan. Correct? Balavan, masculine gender. Feminine is balavati, but let's use masculine here. Balavan, correct? Balavan is singular. What about plural? Balavantaha. Balavan, balavantaha. He's strong, physically strong. They are physically strong. He singular, they plural. Correct? Now, Gunavan, Gunavantaha. He is a person of great character. They are people of great character. Gunavantah. Gunavantah. So here, what do you think Antavantah is? Antavan, Antavantah. Correct? Antavan is singular, Antavantah is plural. So it must be plural. Bala, one who has Bala is Balavan, one who has Guna is Gunavan, one who has Anta must be Antavan. One who has Anta means what? Some Anta is there, Andar mein, Andar kuch hai? No, not Andar. Antaha means end. One who is subject to end is called Antavan. Subject to ending. So referring to what here? Dehaha. Ime Dehaha Antavantaha. These bodies are subject to end. These bodies. So don't say just because body is sustained by Sat. Sat is Avinashi, therefore Deha must be Avinashi because they're closely connected to each other. No, not like that. Dehaha Antavanta. Bodies are subject to end. Then what? Then bodies, whose bodies? That he's saying here. Whose bodies? Look at that. Nityasya. Of. Nityasya means of the one that is Nitya, of the one that is independent of time, not subject to time or eternal. Nityasya. There are 4 words he uses of. Nityasya, Sharirinaha, Anashinaha, and Aprameyasya. 4 words he uses. Bodies of what? That what he is giving 4 adjectives. 4 nouns are there. Of that which is Nitya, not time bound, and that which is Shariri, of the Shariri. Shariri. Shariram, same as Deha, right? Deha and Shariram refer to this physical body. And Shariri means the one who is indwelling this body is called a Shariri. The other day there was a question, right? Dehi Nitya Nityamavadhyoyam Dehe Sarvasya Bharata. Like that. Tata Dehantara Praptihi Dhirastatra na Mukhyati. We saw that. The Dehi. Same. Dehi, there was what? The indweller of the Deha. The one who is, the one for whom this Deha is meant for. Same meaning. Dehi. Sharirinaha means Dehi. Then Anashinaha. Anashinaha means of the Anashi. Of the Anashi. Of the one that is not destructible. Of the Anashi. And then Aprameyasya. He's introducing new word. Aprameya. Which we will see in the next class because it is 10 o'clock right now. So in summary, we saw the last shloka, which is number 17, where he introduced or he mentioned that this Sat Atma is Avinashi. It is not destructible. And it is Sarvavyapi, Tatam, Sarvamidam, Tatam. It's all pervasive. Those 2 words Krishna introduced in the 17th shloka. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om